Today, we're pulling back the curtain on something that runs pretty much everything we do, even when we don't realize it. We're talking about behavioral scripts, the invisible software, the hidden code that powers our everyday actions.
I mean, really, have you ever been driving and you suddenly snap back to reality and think, whoa, how did I even get here? Or you just kind of float through your morning routine without a single conscious thought? Well, that feeling, it's not just in your head. It's very, very real.
I mean, think about your morning. You wake up, you make the coffee, you check your phone, you head out the door. It's almost like a dance you do every day without thinking. And that's not just a habit. Psychologists actually call this a behavioral script. It's our brain's super smart and efficient way of saving energy on tasks we do all the time. But that's just scratching the surface.
So it turns out all these automatic behaviors, from the simple stuff to really complex social situations, are all run by just two types of scripts. You can think of them as the basic operating system for being a human.
Okay, so let's break this down. On one side of the coin, you've got ancestral scripts. These are the deep, primal ones. They're hardwired right into our DNA for survival. You know that instinct to flinch and protect your neck if something startles you? Yep, that's an ancestral script firing off. And on the other side, you've got life scripts. These are the ones we learn. They're built from repetition, like tying your shoes, riding a bike, or even how you automatically order at a restaurant. They're all about efficiency.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Because these scripts are so predictable, they follow a clear set of rules. And if you understand the rules, you can understand how the whole system works. Think of them like command codes for that human operating system we were talking about.
And the best part? There are only four. Just four simple but super powerful rules that govern how all of these scripts work. Let's dig into them.
Okay, rule number one is pretty cool. Anytime a script gets interrupted when something unexpected happens, it's like a record scratch in our brain. That autopilot switches off and our conscious mind goes, wait, what just happened? And in that moment, you have someone's complete undivided attention. That little interruption creates a huge opportunity for focus.
All right, rule two is all about tapping into someone's memory bank. If you can get someone to remember a specific experience, say the feeling of learning to ride a bike, you're borrowing the life script that goes with it. You're bringing up all the emotions and patterns from that memory, which makes their response, well, a lot more predictable.
Now, rule 3. This is where we go deep. When you trigger one of those ancestral scripts, we're talking survival, status, belonging, you create an almost automatic gut-level response. These things are so baked into our DNA that they can completely bypass rational thought. It's a powerful, unconscious impulse.
And finally, number 4. This is kind of the off switch. The moment you make someone aware of the script they're running, the moment you say something like, hey, it feels like we're just going through the motions here, you pull that unconscious pattern out into the open. And once you can see it, its automatic power pretty much dissolves.
So, that's the theory. We know what scripts are and we know the rules. But how do we actually use this stuff? Well, there's a practical playbook for that, and it's surprisingly straightforward.
The formula basically boils down to 4 steps. First, know your goal. What's the one thing you want them to do? Second, identify the emotion. What do they need to feel to take that action? Curiosity, confidence, generosity. Third, you've got to create that emotion. You can do that with stories, with questions that trigger our memory. That's the creative part. And finally, you guide the conversation, building on that feeling you've helped create.
I know, this might sound a little abstract, so let's make it real. Let's try a fun, low-stakes example right from the source material. It's called the Free Anything script. And our mission, should we choose to accept it, is to get a free coffee.
Okay, so following the playbook, our goal is the free coffee. The emotion we need then is generosity. So step 1 is to start priming the conversation. You build a little mental word bank of all these generosity-related terms. The idea here is to subtly plant these little seeds in the conversation, getting the other person's brain thinking along those generous lines.
And here's what that might sound like in action. You're not just rattling off words from the list, of course. You're weaving them into a natural story or an observation. By talking about things like charity, giving, and random acts of kindness, you're not just saying the words, you're actually sparking the feeling of generosity. You're activating their generosity life script before you ever ask for anything at all.
So the big question is, why? Why is this so ridiculously effective? Why does appealing to an emotion often beat a perfectly logical argument hands down? Well, for that answer, we need to take a quick peek under the hood at the wiring of our own brains.
It really all comes down to a part of our brain called the limbic system. This is our emotional command center. It's the part that handles behavior, decision-making, and all those gut feelings. And here's the key. It doesn't speak the language of facts and figures. It speaks in feelings, stories, and memories. So script hacking is basically just learning to speak directly to this powerful, emotional brain.
So, if there's one thing to take away from all of this, it's this simple phrase. Connect heart first, then head. You have to engage with that limbic emotional brain, the heart, before you have any hope of getting through to the logical, rational brain, the head. Emotion is the key that unlocks the door. It gets attention, and then and only then does logic even have a chance. That's really the secret sauce here.
So now you can see it, that invisible code running in the background of every conversation, every meeting, every interaction. And once you see it, you kind of can't unsee it. So the real question becomes, what are you going to do with it? How will you start to notice and maybe even rewrite the scripts in your own life?